dance for joy.
Welcome to Sensible Secondhand Reviews, the series where we look at practical and sensible cars that you can buy for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. This is a 2012 Toyota Avensis 1.8 TR with the CVT gearbox. But is it any good? Should you care? Let's find out, shall we? So the Mark III Toyota Avensis, known as the T270, was launched in 2009. This is a 2012 car. It's an early example of the first facelift. There was another facelift as well, which occurred in 2015. And actually those do look better than this, and this looks better than the pre-facelift cars, if I'm honest. This is a really nice example, actually, this car. It's done about 88,000 miles, and it doesn't feel like it at all. It's been very, very well looked after. Under the bonnet, as you'll see later, is really, really clean. So you could get 3 different petrol engines with one of these, a 1.6 with 130 horsepower, a 1.8 like this with 144 horsepower, and then a 2 litre with 149 horsepower. With the first facelift in 2012, the 1.6 and 2 engines were dropped, leaving just this one. Because most of these you'll find on the used market are diesel versions. And due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. What we do talk about instead is just how smooth and quiet this car is. So I'm sitting at some lights now, and the engine is totally silent. Someone has worked very, very hard on the noise, vibration, harshness of this third generation Avensis. It's really comfortable. There's a bit of a firm edge to the ride, but that's actually okay. I prefer that if it means that the handling is good. And it is very good. The steering in particular is not what I was expecting at all. It's perfectly light for manoeuvring, but there's actually quite a lot of feedback through this wheel. I'm not sure if this is an electric setup and so that feedback is artificial, but it's so much better than so many cars I drive where the steering is just too light and doesn't have much feedback. And this is not something that I was expecting from a car like this. It's very much a sort of business-orientated car, fleet car, family car. It's not maybe supposed to be the sportiest drive, and yet it is ever so comfortable, but ever so nice to drive, actually, maybe on the motorway or on faster roads, whilst being really quiet. You could imagine doing an awful lot of miles in this car and just really kind of getting on with life and not letting you know, noise and discomfort get in your way. The fact that this TR model is so well equipped is also really handy. We've got everything you possibly need. The only thing I would probably add is just the parking sensors. Although there's a reversing camera, it's not the best quality, being from 2012, and so I'd probably, you know, go for some parking sensors with one of these. So let's have a look at this really nice example of the first facelift third generation Avensis. I do apologise for background noise, by the way, viewers. I think this is actually quite a handsome car. I'm not sure about the pre-facelift ones, I'm not so keen on those, but this one and then the second facelift car, which came out in 2015, I think are actually reasonably attractive. This one is in really, really nice condition, particularly for a 12-year-old car, and I'm very grateful to Lloyd and Helen, who own this car, for letting me have a go in it today. Actually, I'm not really a big fan of kind of darker coloured wheels on a car, but actually with this silver paintwork, it works quite well. You could only get a saloon or touring, or I think later on they were called the touring sports versions of these. But yeah, it just looks really good. I was very grateful actually when I was backing this up, but there's a reversing camera on here as well. It's not the best reversing camera I've ever seen. Obviously this car is from 2012, so you wouldn't expect that, but it's good to have it because actually the rear visibility on saloons can be a bit restricted. Right, let's see if I can open the boot without looking like too much of an idiot. There we go, let's see if that's open. There we go. The boot is absolutely vast on one of these. It is 509 litres, and you can fold the rear seats down. You can also use a ski hatch if you really want to. There we go. The boot light's been changed for LED one, by the way. I just need to move this liner, which is a very little thing to have, and then we'll have a look to see if there's a spare. Yep, there's the spare. I had to move a lot of things out of the way, but there it is. There we go. Just put that all back in a second. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to, you can get more space. The boot opening is not quite as big as I would have imagined for a car. It's very wide. It's just the rear window's quite big, which obviously helps with visibility. Yeah, maybe that's a problem. You can just go for the touring version, which has actually not that much more space, about 534 litres, but it might be a bit more practical for some people, but for me this would be absolutely fine. I'm going to go on this side for a change, viewers, because there's actually a booster seat fitted on the other side. This car's used by a family. That's loads of room in here. Loads of room. Lloyd, who normally drives this car, and I, we're probably about the same height, I should think. There's plenty of room in here. I mean, I've moved them back forward a little bit if I wanted to. But yeah, headroom's fine. Obviously, if you wanted to be someone who needed more space, most of these I see tend to be the touring or the sports touring versions of these. Touring Sport. I get very confused about what they called the estate version after 2015. I never remember if it's Sports Touring or Touring Sport. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, so we've got ski hatch here. It's quite handy. Some cup holders there. Everything does feel in this car really quite nice quality. You can see they've really tried to kind of make it feel just a cut above the rest. Secondhand A is a good car. Mark IV Mondeo is a good car. They would have been around at about this time, but I just prefer this. I think this is far more sort of me. There we go. Some soft touch door tops in the back. Very nice kind of feeling interior door handle. Little door bin there for a little bottle. Yeah, you can see why this car would appeal to a lot of people. There's no 12-volt socket in the back of here. That's really my only criticism, but that is very small. Apart from that, I think the LED lights must have been changed. So if they're standard, then that's fantastic. But maybe they've been changed over. Yeah, the seat's very comfortable. Brilliant. Okay, let's get in the front. So, no keyless entry on this car, but a lot of you will find that better. I think I'm fine with either, to be honest. So we've got the CVT gearbox in this particular car. It does have simulated ratios. You can see there's a manual mode for this. I think up to about 5 ratios. And yeah, it's okay. Toyotas often have come with CVTs in the past, and I'm not sure exactly how reliable this would be, but I know the reputation of these third generation Avensis models, and it's very, very good for reliability generally. So I'll just give me a second here and I'll shut the door. So the quality from the factory in Derbyshire where these were made, again, feels very good. This silver finish, which was typical of cars of the time, seems to have sort of held up quite well. This car's done almost sort of 90,000 miles, and it doesn't feel it really. Not really at all. Soft touch dash up here. Instruments are quite clear. This little panel here, fending and ventilation, could be a little bit larger, but it doesn't really matter. We've also got a touch screen, which you know, back in the day was probably quite a novelty. I don't imagine all the third generation Avensis would have come with this. So we've got controls for the Bluetooth on the phone. We've got cruise control, of course. That's very necessary in a car like this. Automatic wipers, automatic lights. We've got paddles for doing this sort of simulated CVT ratios. Got an ashtray down here. There's the 12-volt socket. I could do with like a USB port if there's one here. There might not be. Ooh, actually, I like this. Hold on. Oh. Viewers, that's exciting. Yeah. So we've got sort of all the trappings of family life in here. which is good. Is it shows that we've got lots of storage. We've got a nice cup holder there that you can close the lid on if you want to. A sport mode on the CVT gearbox, that could also be interesting. Let's try that out a bit later. Open up the glove box. I'm not going to get my secret mission documents in there, viewers, because it's again sort of more of a trappings of family life, but I think those would go in there actually. Yeah, it's all very positive so far, viewers. Let's move this. It's very clever design. Move it like that, and then you move it again to do that. And then there, it's not fallen off or anything in 12 years and almost 90,000 miles, so it's all looking good. We've got overhead thing here. It would be nice to have a sunglasses compartment in this car, because there doesn't need to be one anywhere, which is a bit of a shame. But maybe that's indicative of the sort of weather that Toyota expected us to have in this country, like today. So, nice, bright, clear instruments. For some reason they felt the need to put the temperature and fuel level in that little centre screen there. Colour screen in the middle of there. Let's see if we can have a look at what we've got in here. Yeah, we're not going to Android Auto Apple CarPlay in here, are we? So there we go, just near the A120 today. See if the car function will really say anything. Trip information, stuff like that. That's 58 miles per gallon. Wow. I don't expect to get anything out of that so far. But you'd expect maybe early to mid 40s in this car, but that's quite impressive actually if you get 58. Audio off and source and things like that. Yeah, you got Bluetooth. Is there like an aux in? It's probably like buried in that armrest somewhere. I'll have to see if I can find that. Yeah, I'm just very impressed with everything in this car, really. This is quite simple to navigate. It's an older system. I'd be surprised if it's even 5 inches, to be honest. It might even be smaller than that, but there we go. Yeah, dual zone climate control. What more is it you need in a car for sort of family duties or doing motorway miles? I imagine motorway miles in this car would be exceptionally comfortable. Right, let's have a look at the engine. Just so happens that the owner of the Hyundai Getz I filmed the other day is also here, so if you hear some noise in the background, that's him. This is a 1.8 4-cylinder engine with a Valvematic, which is a form of variable valve timing, variable intake. I think it's a bit more complicated than that, but I'm just going to say that. Generates about 145 horsepower in this car. At the time, this was the only petrol engine you could get in this generation of Avensis. There were 1.6 and 2 litre engines available as well on the pre-facelift cars. But by this stage, most people were going for engines that we can't talk about on this channel. So this was the sole petrol option right up until the end in 2018. And yeah, it's fine. 0 to 60 in this car is somewhere about 10.5 seconds. Big plastic cover on here, so you can't really show that much. I'd personally go for a manual, that's just my preference, but yeah, this Auto CVT seems alright. Very clean engine bay, very clean indeed, especially for a car of this age. The family that owns this car must really look after it to keep it in this sort of condition. Right, well let's nip out for another spin, shall we, Liz? The engine kind of sort of does rise and fall a bit differently if you're just using it in normal mode, because it's a CVT gearbox, so it doesn't quite feel sort of natural, but you get used to it after a while, or you can just use the actual manual mode and that gives you some simulated ratios. Yeah, steering is good, drive position is very good. It's just a car that gets on with things without much to do with fuss, and if you do want to go a bit faster and sort of push it in some corners, then it will respond. It's just not generally what these cars are about. Everything just feels very well constructed. The thermal ride is probably not what everybody wants, but I do think it's absolutely fine. And yeah, the engine seems to have enough power, enough torque for probably most situations, although, you know, putting in a nice V6 would have been better, but majority of family car buyers by 2012 didn't want that kind of thing, which is a shame, but you know, there we go. let's now look at some T270 Avensis trim levels here. So we have the T2, the TR, like this one. Why it doesn't go T2, T3, T4, I don't know. It's T2, TR, T4. The T-Spirit, the Design, the Active, the Business Edition, the Business Edition Plus, the Edition. So we've got the Edition and the Business Edition. Excel, the Icon Business Edition, the Icon Plus, and the Select. It's kind of a shame that there's no sort of really sporty version. I think the most powerful petrol one was a 2 litre, 149 horsepower that was available before the 2012 facelift. Apparently the CD of one of these is just 0.28, which is I suppose quite impressive. So what you need to be aware of when buying one of these, chain cam engine on these, so they tend to be very dependable engines actually, these petrol 1.8s. There's not really many horrors I've heard about. I'm sure things do go wrong with these, and the oldest of these is now 15 years old, and the youngest is about 6 years old. So, you know, they will continue to be in sensible second-hand reviews territory for some time. So you should consider one of these for your hard-earned budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. I don't see why not. This is probably, for me, one of the best options in this segment, along with something like a Mazda 6 possibly. Those are probably my two favourites, but, you know, your opinion might very well vary. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for some more reasonably priced motoring.